Hello and welcome to Oldie But a Goodie. That's the name of the show. This is the second episode. Thank you for joining us. My name is Sandro Felcher, and I am joined by my friend, Mr. Zach Adams.
Mr. Will Zach Adams. Iron Will Zach Adams.
Oh, you're changing your name now.
Yes,
okay,
yes.
all right.
My name is Iron Zach. That's
Iron Zach.
which sounds very close to Iron Sack, so I'm a little worried. Anyway.
Oh, what a coincidence that you changed your name to Iron Zach on the week we're reviewing a movie called Iron Will.
Whoa, what a coinky dink. What a coinky dink. Wow, amazing. So what's this film? Iron Will? What's it about? Tell me
First of all, you missed the number one thing to do when you're
Uh-huh.
podcasting, Zach.
Yeah?
You gotta say what the show is. First of all,
right, yeah. We're oldie but a goodie.
what is this show? I don't remember.
Yeah, we review movies. Sandra, you're on this. How did you forget? You're on
don't
this
know.
podcast. We review movies
Oh, that's right.
that are from way back when, where old people lived, which is 1994 apparently.
So old.
Yes, it's so old. Wow. Yeah, no. And we decide whether they're a oldie, which is not necessarily bad, just sort of old and has a whole lot of tropes that have been taken out or
Right.
things that have been improved on over the years.
Yeah.
Or a goodie, a gem in the rough, as it were. Something that you should probably go back and watch.
All right.
Unless it's Cabin Boy, which I rated a goodie, you should probably not go see that. Anyway.
Oh, I had an Instagram inbox message. I'm sounding like I am from the year
Yeah,
94
no.
the way I just talked about that.
No. Good job. Good way of being in theme, Sandro.
But someone was like, I've watched Cabin Boy before.
Yep.
I completely forgot about it until I listened to your episode. And quite frankly, I'm not happy that you reminded me of it. Is essentially what this person
I'm so
said.
sorry for rating it a goodie. I regret everything. But I'm still keeping
I don't
it
have
as
your
goodie.
name in front of me, but thank you very much for sending that in, because that
That's
gave me a good
brilliant.
laugh.
That's so funny.
Anyway, today's film is a Disney film.
Oh, is it?
Number
Really?
2. I mean, you know that.
Yeah,
'cause
yeah,
you
but I'm
just
putting on an
watched
act
it.
for the podcast, Sandro. It's a podcast. Way to ruin the podcast magic, Sandro. Way to break the barrier.
It is a Disney film. Came out
At a time known as.
on the 14th of January.
It should be that hard, seeing as we're following a distinct time frame
We are.
where we go through the year and like pick movies that came out during the time that we did the podcast. So it should be quite easy for you to remember that, Sandro.
Now, when you look this film up, it says that its initial DVD release was in 2002.
Okay.
But I couldn't find this movie anywhere.
Oh, really?
This film was really hard to track down. Cabin Boy was surprisingly easy to find. It was on the Google Play Store and everything. You could just
there
rent
you
it.
go.
This one, I had to go to the American iTunes store
Oh, damn.
and
Okay.
pay $2.99 to rent it.
That's fair enough, I guess.
So it's a hard
There you go.
movie to find. Is it worth it? Let's figure it out.
Yeah.
Before then, this movie is directed by a guy named Charles Hayde. I hadn't heard of him before.
Yeah.
He's well known for doing a few sort of like sitcom pilots. He was like an actor in a bunch of sitcom pilots.
Okay.
And a few films like
Alright.
Altered States and Hills City Blues. He was in that TV show for a while. I've never heard of any of these, but you know, that's what he is. He's a pretty good director though. He's done episodes of Sons of Anarchy
Oh, yeah.
and Breaking Bad.
Oh, Breaking Bad. I like me some Bad of Breakings.
And it stars a guy who was in something that TV pilot that he did a voice in. It was a sitcom.
Well, that really rolled off the tongue, didn't it, Sandra?
It was a sitcom called The Facts of Life. It ran throughout the mid-80s.
Okay.
And that's where the main actor is from, Mackenzie Asteen.
All right.
And the writer of this film, though, is kind of a big deal.
Oh, yeah?
John Michael Hayes.
Oh, yes, I've heard of him.
He wrote like 5 Hitchcock films.
Oh, damn.
Some of his stuff includes like Rear Window, which is huge. The Trouble with Harry is pretty big as well. This was his last film
Oh, really?
that he ever
Okay.
directed. So,
Well, that's ominous.
so that's the team behind it. As we did last episode,
Yeah.
let's try and figure out how much this movie made.
Okay.
So it cost about $12 million.
12 million. Whew, that
Yeah.
is a pretty penny.
Disney have tried to... I don't know if they're trying to hide the fact that this film exists or
Yeah.
hide the fact that they spent some money on it, but it was hard to find out how much
Okay,
it made.
alright.
How much it made exactly. But considering that it cost $12 million, it came out in January, again, the month
Yeah.
where films go to die, what do you
Yep.
think it made?
Okay, cost 12 million. The previous one did really bad.
Oh yeah, it was like 40% of how much it cost was what it made
Yikes.
back.
Yeah, no, that was really bad. So I'm gonna guess this one's probably either just breached it or it is a Disney film though, so it could. So I'm gonna guess it was 12. I'm gonna guess like it made just a little over like 15.
15. Look, you're not far off.
Okay.
It made 20 million.
Oh, hey, that's
did-
a pretty good profit. That
did
actually
pretty
did
well.
quite well.
It did pretty well. Critically, did pretty well as well. It's got 62% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I mean, it's a 62 sort of thing. I will give it that. It's better than Cabin Boy, that's for sure.
okay. Well, we've got to make sure. We've got to
Yeah.
go through
Let's
this film,
go through and
dissect
discover
it.
why is that?
So-
Why is that?
It's set in the year 1917.
It's even older than 1994.
It is.
Fun
It's
fact.
pretty old. It's very old.
Uh-huh.
Set 102 years
Uh-huh.
ago.
Uh-huh. Great.
Mm-hmm.
Move on from the date.
It opens in the US, South Dakota.
Yeehaw!
It's like a little farm
Yeah,
that it opens on.
and it's very snowy. It's very clearly like a winter sort of wonderland sort of place. It's like a Alaska looking kind of place. Lots
Yeah.
of snow, lots of things. First thing we see, huskies.
a lot of dogs. There's a lot of dogs in this
Doggo
film.
boys,
Makes
yeah.
sense.
It makes sense. That's kind of the feature point of the film, Sandro. Yeah, no. First thing comes in, you see this young fella pushing his sled along with doggies leading the way. Lots of huskies pulling the sled, and we're like, this is the focal point
Yeah.
of this film is that there's huskies
That's it.
pulling the sled. That's the focal point.
He is played by Mackenzie Austin. Or Austin.
Let's just call he Osty.
Osty.
Good old Osty.
Good old Osty.
Yeah.
His character's name is great.
Yes.
It's Will Stoneman.
Yes, and it won't come up ever again during the film. It won't be a focal point during the film.
Definitely got nothing to do with the title of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
movie.
Don't worry about the title. Nothing. Anyway,
Absolutely nothing. To
So-
try and picture him, if you haven't watched this film to prepare for the podcast, totally fine. You don't need to do that. If you want to, you can.
he's
but
just a young dude. That's
he's a
it.
young dude.
He's sort of lanky.
He looks a little bit like Grant Gustin, who plays the Flash.
Oh
in the
yeah,
recent
yeah. He looks
TV
like
show.
he looks like he could be the next Flash.
He does.
Hey,
He's
he's
also-
all about speed in this film. He's all about going fast. There's a race.
That's
maybe,
true.
maybe he's actually long lost relative of Barry Allen. There's a train, and so of course because he's in a sled or something moving at a speed, and there's a train, they have to race the train. And this annoyed me.
Okay.
Because whenever there's a train on film at like the start or whatever, they always have to race it. If you remember Cars, there was the first movie, there was a train, and of course he has to race it to get past it. Every time a train's in a movie where it's not like a focal point, you're always racing it. He's moving super fast, so of course when he comes around the corner to his thing, there's a car there, and there's like a whoa, and they nearly crash.
I like the cars in this. I really like the design of like
Yeah.
early 20th century cars.
Yeah.
I always appreciate whenever they're in a film.
I guess that's a good point, because in the previous film, they actually had more of a modern car. Interesting. It's like a war vehicle,
That's right.
and then they have a little conversation like, are you ready for the war? And then he's like, there's a war going on?
Yeah, so he doesn't know that there's a war currently happening.
Yeah. So this is a point they touch on later, which is this town is sort of separate from, news.
There is a war. He doesn't know what's going on, and the dialogue is weird for the
Yeah.
first like 10 minutes, it sort of feels like a stage play.
Yeah, I pointed this out. I felt the conversations were very unnatural. For the first, like, half of the film, I'm going to spoiler alert here. For the first half of the
We're
film...
spoiling the whole film.
Well,
We're
yeah,
not-
no.
yeah.
No, but
yes,
spoiler
yes.
alert for this podcast.
Yes.
It's bad. It's just like, eh.
I didn't mind it.
You didn't mind it? I found the conversations with Blair, and it was just like a meh. It was a meh.
I found that there were a lot of particular lines that weren't very good, but
Yeah.
I loved them because they
Yeah,
were
okay,
just
that's
bad.
fair. That's fair.
And they were very funny, and I wrote
That's fair.
quite a few of them down.
I still was like there with the film, and there were points in the film that I liked. I'm just saying that the first half of the film is just not as good as the second half.
Okay. So his whole thing is he's got a dream.
Yeah.
He's got some goals.
Okay, but Sandro, what are these dreams? What are these goals?
They never explain it.
Yes.
They never ever say what
It's
he wants
so
to do
annoying.
with his life.
Once you realize it.
There is a point where like he goes to the post office, he gets a letter, and it's like him being accepted into a college that he really
the
wants to
classic
attend.
movie thing.
Yeah.
But hold up, his dad's just low on money. Once again, we got another trope smack bang at the start of the movie. Why do they always have to be broke? I get it. He's the underdog. He's poor. Blah blah blah. You know, you're sort of relating to him, but like, why do the dads always have to be broke, man?
It's true.
I mean,
It does lead to one of my favorite lines in the film, though,
huh?
which is when he's like, "Dad, I want to go to college. That's my dream. That's the whole point of this film is I want to go to college."
Yeah.
And his dad's like, "Go to college. Don't worry about the money. It'll be there when you need it."
Okay. Yeah. And I'm
That's
just
not how money works.
no. Hey, man, Dad's gonna have the money for him. You don't know.
I still just can't get over the fact that his whole dream is just going to college.
Yeah, well, is it though? They just don't explain what his dream is. They talk about it so much in the film, it really annoys me that they didn't have... All they needed was, like, one scene.
Yeah.
One scene where he's like, boy, I wish I could be a college professor. Boy, I wish I could be an Boy, I wish I could get a degree in astrophysics.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, they don't have one scene, so who knows
don't.
what his dreams are. Then his dad goes and just dies like an idiot.
Mm-hmm.
What a Dumbo.
It was a classic
A classic.
Disney movie
Classic.
trope.
Yeah.
Just kill off the dad. But the scene where they kill off the dad is
It's really...
it's
oof.
funny. It's really funny.
It was too funny. It was really bad because it's an accident that would happen, which is where sleds can sometimes slip off into like water and stuff, and the sled's too heavy. It can drag the driver down with it. And what he does is he cuts loose the dogs so the dogs don't get dragged
Yeah,
down.
it
It's
makes
all this
sense.
very sad sort of thing. But during the whole thing, the dad like flails, like it's bad acting drowning. It's really bad. His son doesn't notice it first, then sort of turns and just stares for a bit, and then it's
Yeah.
like, oh wait, my dad's dying. When he cuts loose the dogs, Will gets dragged away really comically, which
Yeah.
is really bad, because it's like a horrible scene.
It is sort of funny.
It was sort of funny,
It's-
and we
it's very
laughed,
strange.
but we felt really bad because it's a dad scene. And then his dad gets sort of dragged down, and he's just like, blop, with just some bubbles. It was bad. It was yikes.
Now, Zach,
Yeah.
Will, he blames a particular dog for his dad's
Yeah.
death. He blames a dog called Gus. How do you know he's talking to Gus? Because Gus is the only dog without patches of black on it.
Yeah, he's like this. He's white dog, where all the huskies are the regular like multicolored husky dogs. This one's like a albino husky.
Yeah.
He's the leader of the pack. He's the premium dog. He's a fast boy. He is the best dog on the block.
But he's also got that attitude.
Yes,
He's
he
very-
doesn't respect you unless you've earned his respect, you know? And so those dogs, he sort of fights with this dog. The dogs, he sort of blames it. He's very upset. And then his friend comes over, his sort of mentor comes over.
Yeah.
And he has a solid cry. And I
Just
just
have a good cry.
wanted to mention this. The acting for this cry, pretty solid.
Yeah.
Pretty solid acting. I've seen a lot worse crying.
Oh, definitely.
on modern films today. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of bad crying. So this one, solid cry.
We get a bunch of scenes, like a funeral scene,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And this is where the locations really stuck out to me. I think
Yeah.
this film is shot beautifully.
Yeah,
the
it's
locations
pretty good
are,
shot. I'm
the,
not
the
gonna lie.
locations are fantastic all the way through. I really do like the soundtrack, even though the guy who did it hasn't done anything else that
Okay,
is particularly
well, there you
great. But yeah.
The mental guy, who's a Native American dude, he knows things. He is a wise man.
He is.
He talks about how his dad had this touch, the dad's touch with the animals.
Yeah.
He has this whistle. We'll talk more about this whistle later.
How does the whistle go again? It's like,
I can't remember.
no, that's Hunger Games.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Yeah, we'll just do the Hunger Games whistle.
We'll do the Hunger Games one.
There's this crappy whistle. It's a focal point of the movie. It's dumb. Anyway, then he finds this flyer and is reminded that there's this whole race going on. He's like, oh, we can do this. If I win the race, I win the money, then all my problems go away. Yay!
And the mentor is like, you can do this.
Yes.
But remember, the training to do this is hard. And he
Yes.
reveals his plan to
Yeah.
Will of how he's going to win. And it is quite possibly
Yeah.
the worst plan I have ever heard in
yeah.
any of these kind of like sport or like physical exercise based movies.
It's really weird. So first up, he wakes him up at like 3 a.m. in the morning.
But his mentor is like, this was just one of many sleepless nights. Because his plan
Yeah,
is to not sleep.
that's it. That's the plan. Just don't sleep.
You want to win the race? Just don't sleep.
Just don't sleep. Now this is interesting. I didn't notice it at first because he starts off with he mentions you start off with 5 hours, then 4,
Yes.
then 3, then 2, and then on the very last night, no sleep at all. It's not the worst plan.
I mean, spoilers, it works out pretty well for him.
Well, yeah, obviously, but
But
mean, it's works. So I
Yeah.
guess it's not a stupid. It makes sense. All of it just makes sense.
it is one of the many, I guess, messages this film has towards children that I'm not
Yes.
100% on board with.
Ignore good strategy. Just
Yep.
don't get sleep and go really fast. Exhaust yourself to the point where your body is literally dying, and you'll achieve it. Go get
Anyway,
it.
so he does the training montage and he's ready to go. He's off to Canada.
Woohoo! And at this point, they're on the train and they're going through. There's a sign that shows that they're going to Canada. Sandro-
Particularly Winnipeg is where
yeah,
they're headed.
Winnipeg is where they're going. And Sandro, you made this great quote that you immediately took back, but I wrote down because it's great. You said, "It's Canada time, baby."
Well, it is. They're in Canada.
It was.
Therefore, it's Canada time.
But you immediately read these words, and I knew it, so I just wrote this down. It's Canada time, baby.
The first shot we get in Canada is amazing
Oh,
as well.
it's so good.
Because they're showing off this top of the line train.
Oh,
it's kind of like sponsoring the race.
Yeah, so the whole point of this race is it's sponsored by the railroad company, and they're like following the tracks of the rails, but with these sled dog sort of things. So it's sponsored by this rich railway man, and they're showing off this train. This train is an American train.
It's
Now,
so American.
how can we tell, Sandro?
All right, how about just one thing?
Oh yeah.
Because there are many. Well, one of them. How about the American flag just
Yeah,
planted
yeah.
right in the center
Yeah,
of the train?
yeah. You're right. Just one single flag. That should do, right?
How about a giant sticker of the American flag
Okay.
over the area that tells you the company that made it as well?
Yeah.
So we're doing both
okay,
back to
that's
back.
a little overkill.
How
You've
about
got
about 6 small flags?
Okay, all right.
all
Stop
around
it. All
the
right,
front
that's
of it?
enough. That's enough.
How about
no.
the wheels?
Oh Jesus.
How about they're painted in the American color? I
Oh,
don't think that
boy.
actually happened.
Yeah, no,
But if that did, that would be
there
pretty
was
good.
so much flags on it. It was so silly. We just burst out laughing. It was funny. It
good.
was an American train.
We get the poster
Yeah.
for this race, and it takes place on the 27th of January. I really
there you go.
appreciated that. I like it when a film is set when it comes out.
Yeah,
think it's quite nice.
It's cool. Then we're introduced to the race, which I believe is from Winnipeg to St. Paul's.
That sounds about right, yeah.
And is 522 miles.
Quite long. Quite a
And then we're sort of introduced to the other characters of this film.
Yeah.
The other races and the sort of guys who are sponsoring it, along with the newsmen.
Yeah.
So first off, we got the rich boys, which they've got like the American patriot dude.
That's right.
He's rich.
There's a French guy as well?
Yeah, there's this sort of French guy he's there just to sort of make comments, I guess. And then we've got the sort of bad guy, which is this Scottish dude.
Yes, played by Brian Cox, very popular actor.
Yeah, he's really good.
The Scottish guy. His name is Angus.
Angus, yeah.
Which is a great name. My personal favourite of all of them, though,
Yeah.
was the Russian. His name is Borg.
Borg. Not to be confused with the Star Trek villain.
Definitely not. He is not the villain of this movie. He definitely is
no.
not. I love 90s
Yeah.
and their obsession with evil Russians.
Yeah, no, he
It's
is...
so... Has it aged well? Maybe.
Yeah, you know what? I loved him as a villain. He was great. So they have this scene where they're in this big sort of ballroom area, and he sort of reveals the race. They're talking about the races and stuff, and then little old Will chimes up. He's like, hey, right in the middle of this guy on stage speaking.
Yeah.
Hey, and it's like, who are you? I'm Will. I want to sign up for the race. And he's like, you want to sign up for the race, but you're so young. No, I paid the $50. You know, I'm in. And it's like, well, do you know about the late sign-up fee?
It's such a pointless bit of dialogue because it never
really
comes
dumb.
up again.
It's dumb. It's
really dumb.
It's just this conflict so that we can get the news reporter.
Yes.
Who is
So the news reporter is played by Kevin Spacey.
yes, which we all know is having a bit of controversy right about now.
Yeah, we have found out that he is a little bit too similar to the characters that he plays.
Oh boy.
Anyway, he's in this. He plays a guy called Kingsley. He's a news reporter, and he basically pays-ish for Will to join.
So Will has to pay this extra $10, but he can't pay because he's only got $2 on him. The news report guy's like, you know what? This guy could make a great story, so I'm going to pay for his ticket. And then they all chant, let him race, let him race, which is the classic movie stupid
And
stuff.
then they're like, fine, we'll let him race. And then it turns into a musical for about 3 minutes. They're all singing. During this scene, Will is basically peer pressured into smoking,
Yep,
drinking quite heavily,
yep.
and just all around just being a little bit silly. And I'm
Yeah.
like, is this what you want to teach kids to do?
Yeah, Disney.
So he gets ready for the race, and this is where we get the best scene.
We get introduced to our villain, the Russian man. He has a good talk with this new young racer.
Yeah.
He's like, you're never going to make it.
This is where
You
his
should
true
just
colours.
quit.
His true colours
You
show.
suck. Yeah, he's going to get frostbite.
But anyway, then we get the best line in the entire film, and I love it, and I want to get it printed on a t-shirt, and I want to wear it every day. He says, when you get frostbite, make sure to call me, and I'll cut off whatever you want. He says this twice.
Yeah, he's like, make sure to call me. I'll chop off your fingers, buddy. Winky face, smiley face, XOXOX.
I'm such a big fan of that.
Yeah,
Anyway.
it was a great quote.
The race starts, and
Yep.
he has a weird tactic you mentioned.
So, smart people know, smart racers know that in a long race like this, it's also a war of attrition.
Yeah.
Sort of thing, where you have to conserve your energy to make sure you don't burn out. But of course, at the very start, he sets a grueling pace for his dogs and just speeds into the lead.
For himself as well. He's like sprinting at one point.
Yeah, no, he's running, whereas all the other guys are like, "What are you do?" All the other racers are like, "What are you doing? That's dumb. You're gonna wear yourself out." But the crowd is like, "Oh yeah, he's in the lead, woo!" And the news reporters are like, "Oh yeah, he's in the lead, woo!" And the racer's like, "What are you? What? Okay, well, he's dead."
So he runs. He gets a little bit tired,
Yeah.
when he gets to a hill.
Heartbreak Hill, I
Heartbreak
believe.
Hill.
So he starts climbing up this hill, but because he's done this grueling pace, he gets sort of exhausted. All the other racers catch up, and they go flying past him. The Russians calls out, "Oh, thank you for cutting a trail." And he's like, "Oh man, I cut a trail." It's really
not
really
good.
bad.
It's not good. Then he comes across the Devil's Trench. You know it's hard because it's got the word devils.
Yes.
in it.
Oh.
He goes to this trench, and this is where we know for sure the Russian is up to no good. Because
Yeah.
he has a bit of an evil laugh
Yeah.
before he tricks another racer from falling off a cliff.
Yeah,
Just falls off a cliff.
because he's going too fast.
It's a very confusing scene, though, because the dogs aren't anywhere to be seen.
Yeah, it's really weird. So I don't know if the dogs actually died. The sled goes off the cliff, and we see a scene. He has to throw out a hook so he doesn't go off the cliff.
Yeah.
He hooks himself onto the cliff so he doesn't die. But his sled goes off. But we don't see what happens to his dogs. Did the dogs get released and did they run off? It doesn't show them.
Doesn't
So we
show them at
literally don't know. But we could have dead dogs.
We could.
Yeah.
I've got written down here, Fussy Gussie.
Yes, so
What
I
does
wrote
that
this
mean?
down for us because this is a very integral part where he's trying to coax his dogs to get back going again.
Yeah.
And he's having trouble communicating with the lead dog, which we know is Gus,
Yep.
the head of the pack,
Good
the
old Gus.
premium dog. But he's not his dad. So he doesn't have the dad's touch, his whistle. He can't get his whistle right for no reason whatsoever. So the dogs have trouble communicating with him. And I called him Fussy Gussie. Because
Okay.
he's been a bit fussy, and his name's Gus.
All right.
So he's good old Fussy Gussie.
Isn't this the scene where Kingsley
Yes.
is like,
So
um,
he has a conversation with good old Kingsley, the news reporter. The news reporter comes out. It's like, "Wow, you're leaving early. Oh, what's that you're eating?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm eating fruitcake. It's my strategy, you see, because fruitcake doesn't need to be heated up or anything and blah, blah, blah."
it's a good strategy.
Yeah, and
But
then
it
he
does
heads off.
kind of feel like product placement for fruitcake. It just
What?
comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, I guess that is. I didn't even think about that. Kingsley, with the best quote, is this. It's like, this kid is a gift from God. This fruitcake's a gift from God.
So good.
It's so dumb. Obviously, he's referring to the whole point where this kid is making a great news story from him. This is why he brought him into this race in the first place, is that he wants to write about him in the newspaper. But he gives him all this cool facts, and he's like writing down, "Oh, this kid with nothing but his dad's whistle and his mum's fruitcake is going to take on the other races."
Then on that evening,
Yeah.
there is blizzard.
There
Big
are
old blizzard.
blizzard attacks, and this causes a whole lot of trouble for the racers. It's very cold, it's miserable.
There's one racer in particular, an Icelandic racer, who gets
he-
caught out in the cold.
Yeah.
Will, he sees this Icelandic guy out in the cold. He's a little bit frozen.
Yeah.
We can see that he's got a lot of ice.
Sort of
frosted over
covering
on
him. So he's like, "Well, even though I'm a racer and I'm ahead on the pack, I need to help this guy." As the
he
true hero he is of this story, he sleds him to safety.
But there is a price to pay for being so nice, and he loses his whistle. He just accidentally drops it.
He drops it, and it's gone.
It's gone.
That's his dad whistle. How is he going to communicate with the dogs?
Well, I wrote down
If
a prediction. Knowing full well what
Yeah.
90s family films are like, I was like, he's going to find out at the end that the whistle was inside of him all along.
Yeah, no,
it
I
was.
mentioned that as
It
well.
was.
Yeah, it was.
It wasn't
Oh
fun.
god.
We cut to the Russian. He's up to no good. He's racing alongside people
Yes.
and whipping their hands, making
So
them fall off their sleds.
He's the only sled driver who has a whip because, of course, he's the bad guy. Then these two guys are going side by side, racing it out, and he's like, "None of that." And he whips the other driver, just whips him off it, causing him to crash, and pretty much taking him out of the race. It's like,
Yeah.
whoa, look at this bad dude. Then there's a quick scene. It cuts to Will again after this scene where you see the dogs just sort of lying down, taking a break, and immediately Sandro's like, "Dead dogs."
I thought that they were.
No, it just cuts to a scene where they're lying there, and you immediately assumed they were all dead.
They were unnaturally still.
They were asleep. They're sleeping, Sandro. What do
They
you
were all-
mean, Sandro?
They were all dead.
What?
I'm
No.
pretty sure you don't see Will at the start of that scene.
You
It
don't.
just catches
Yeah, but if you're 2 seconds into the scene, Sandro, you immediately assume they're all dead. There was no blood. There's no nothing. You just assume that they're all dead.
Poor
Why?
dogs. Those poor
No,
dogs.
they're
Thanks-
just asleep.
They're
What is
fine.
wrong with you?
Thankfully, the dog's all right.
Yeah.
And then we get another montage.
Yeah.
A montage that starts off with a bunch of radio presenters
Yeah.
sitting next to each other, reporting on the story. Now, I just want to quickly point out,
Yeah.
this would not work.
What do you mean?
The radio presenters are sitting quite close to each other, talking
yeah.
into quite powerful mics.
Yeah.
The mic would pick up all of them, and you wouldn't be able to hear.
Well,
which
I don't
one
think
is
it was
talking.
radio. What I think it was them like communicating to their editors or something.
okay.
I think
Okay.
that's what they were trying to get across. Though it was a bit weird because they were sort of cramped in this train. It would be quite difficult to sort of like hear over them. And during this montage, the Kingsley, the head sort of news reporter, is like, his name is Will Stone. What is it? Stone something.
Will Stoneman.
Stoneman, Will Stoneman. He's already out in this snowstorm before anyone else. He's got a really strong will. He's got an iron will.
Yeah.
We'll call him Iron Will. This is great.
And then
Call him Iron
everyone's
Will.
like,
everyone's
"Oh,
like,
yeah,
Iron
what a great
Will.
name."
What a great name.
And then a bunch of newspapers flash up, like,
Yeah.
Iron Will is the last American hero in this race.
News, roll, credits.
We got a giant American flag at one point. It's
Yeah.
great. It's real good.
Yeah.
Angus, played by Brian Cox, the Scotsman,
Yeah.
tries to cut a deal with
Yeah.
our good mate, Mr. Borg.
Because so the rich guys, the Scotsman and the American sponsor, they're making bets on how well Will will do. The Scotsman, he doesn't like Will, so he's betting against him to make sure that he doesn't. But he's bet quite a lot of money, and now he's worried that Will's gonna actually get to the race. So he gets to the Russian and he bribes to pay him $5,000 to get Will out of the race.
They team up. And then we got a very, very well shot scene. In the forest, we see Will kind of like walking around. He hears a noise. The dogs are like, oh, what's going on? We
Yeah.
get these cool like panning shots as they cross from dog to dog and like
Yeah.
close-ups on his face. And then we see the Russian.
Bum bum bum.
And he lets one of his dogs loose.
Yes. Now we already know because of in a scene where his dogs are like barking at the other dogs that they're mean dogs.
They're mean old
They're
dogs.
nasty dogs, and the lead dog is a big nasty dog.
And we get a really cool kind of like POV shot of the dog running at the sled. I thought that was really well shot.
It was good. Anyway, so Gus gets injured in this fight with this other dog.
That's right.
You were like, oh, is he dead? And I was like, I said no. They would be way more dramatic about his death. As literally, Will pulls out a gun.
Yep.
As I said, they would be way more dramatic. He pulls out a gun, and we were both like, oh no, he's
Yeah.
gonna shoot Gus. We were like,
I mean,
oh fuck.
They probably should,
Yeah,
because Gus is in a lot of pain.
yeah.
But that came out of nowhere. Where did he
Yeah,
get a
we
gun
were like,
from?
what the fuck? Why does he have a gun? Where did this gun come from? Anyway, he decides against shooting Gus. Instead, he's using these healing herbs he got from his master dude.
And let me just say, the dog that plays Gus,
solid dog.
one good,
He's a good
very,
acting boy.
very good dog actor.
Yeah, he's a solid acting boy. He
does really well.
He then sits on the sleigh for most of the rest of the movie because he's been injured and he's sort of healing up. But he looks really cute. I think it's really funny.
Yeah.
He's just sort of sitting there with his head sort of wobbling as it goes along, just sort of looking out at things. It's very funny.
And then we get another quality scene
Yeah,
that is set.
this is like a turning point in the movie for me specifically.
Okay.
Where the movie, like, I start to enjoy it a lot more. So they've entered the next town, which is their next sort of resting spot, and the Russian's already there with all the other drivers. And Will sort of bursts into this area. He's mad.
He bursts into the bar. He wants a drink. He's like, oh, someone hurt my dog. Oh, I need me a drink.
Yeah, so he comes in and he immediately sees the Russian and he comes over, socks him in the face.
He just straight up punches the Russian.
And everybody starts freaking out. They start fighting. And then the Russian pulls out a knife in the fight and he's like, you want to go, boy? You want to fight? Well, come at me, boy. Come at me. Then, out of nowhere, Will just pulls out the gun.
Again.
And we did not expect this turn. It was a twist.
He's like,
yeah,
you almost killed my dog. I'm going to kill
holy
you.
Holy crap. Will's a badass.
And this
he suddenly turns badass and is about to kill this Russian dude. I did not expect this.
And then we get Kingsley is like, calm down, boy, calm down. And he just straight up punches Kevin Spacey.
Yeah. Punches him in the face. It's like, I don't like you. You've been reporting all this stuff. You're just using me for your monetary gains, you bastard. And he just storms out.
He storms out. The Scotsman is like, oh, I can take advantage of this.
Yeah,
He's starting to lose it. So he goes and tries to bribe him to drop out of the race.
$3,000
to drop out of this race. Not as much as he was going to pay the Russian. I'd say,
yeah, come on,
pay him that 5k, not that 3k.
Well, then he wouldn't have any, monetary gains from the bet. That's the thing.
That's true, isn't it?
Because he's paying $5,000 to the Russian, $3,000, and it's a $10,000 bet. He would only earn $2,000. But anyway, so he bribes him to try and get him out of the race, but he's like, oh, I'll think about it. But he doesn't do it because he's Will. He's a badass. He's going to do it.
He's sort of an American celebrity now
because of all the news reports of him.
Yeah. So he kind of walks past this church.
Yes.
There's a lot of American supporters there, and they're all like, Will, we're such a huge fan of you.
Yeah.
You have to win the race. I struggle to believe that this many people care about a dog sled race.
I have to give them credit for this. Like, back then, there wasn't much, happening around. So this would have been a big event.
There was a war.
Yeah, but, this was a big race event that was happening. They went past their town. So they would probably be more invested. Nowadays, that we wouldn't have people coming out like that at all for something like that. But, back then, this was an event that was happening.
I guess
so. I can extend my disbelief. Then they have this weird scene where they explain the news reports have made him out to be a hero and that he's a hero to the people. They just sort of weirdly explain it to him.
It's just a big old exposition dump.
Yeah, it's a big old exposition dump. It's really kind of dumb.
Now, Zach, what is the number one rule in racing films?
All right.
Because we've seen a few of them.
Yeah.
What's the number one rule?
No shortcuts.
You
gotta stick to the road. You gotta just beat the other players. Don't do silly shortcut stuff. You just gotta end up crashing or some sort of horrible thing's gonna happen. Anyway, what happens next?
A bunch of kids are like, take a shortcut, and Will's like, okay.
No, don't listen to the kids. The kids are idiots.
This scene is awful. So
it's
they're
really
walking across a bridge. There's train tracks.
Yeah.
They're like, nothing bad's gonna happen.
Yep.
The train comes.
Yeah, no. So this whole scene is the most predictable scene ever.
They almost all get run over, but escape just in the nick of time.
Just in the nick of time. But the sled goes down the hill and it's sort of broken up.
The sled gets broken, so he goes back. Kingsley helps him patch up the sled, and then he races off into the night to try and finish the race.
Yes.
The scenes that follow are way too dark. It's shot terribly when it's in the dark.
Oh, okay. I didn't mind them too much.
It could be because we were watching it with a lot of light in the room.
Yeah, that's true.
But
it was kind of difficult.
I was struggling to see stuff.
Anyway, he leaves very early in the morning. He's not getting much sleep as the other racers. The other racers are freaking out because they've got to leave as soon as he leaves. Otherwise, they'll be left behind. But he's leaving too early.
Yeah, and they all race off after him, and the Russian gets an idea.
I presume the Russian was going to do this little idea anyway, but we have this whole scene where because Will's left so early and he's exhausted and stuff, all the other racers have sort of gone by, but the Russian's also at the back, so the Russian's like, I'm gonna take A shortcut.
Now, Zach, what is the number one rule of a racing movie?
Well, you see, Sandro, don't take any shortcuts because they'll end up breaking your stupid sled after you nearly died to a train. Good thing you're not going to take it. He's taking the shortcut.
He takes a shortcut with the Russian, and the shortcut just happens to go past a lake.
Bum, bum, bum. It's a watery area with rivers and lakes and stuff. His arch nemesis.
As soon
Because
as
his dad drowned.
That's right. As soon as I saw that lake, I went, prediction, the dad's going to do a voiceover.
Yep.
2 seconds later,
Yep.
the dad does a voiceover.
Yeah, it was really bad. Anyway, it has this whole scene where he's like, oh, all right, I've got to face this water.
I wrote down
It's
the
just
exact
so
line.
dumb.
I wrote down the exact line. He says, "Damn you, river! I'll beat you. You took my father."
Yeah, it was really bad. It was so bad. The rest of the film after this is just stupid.
I feel really bad for the river because it's a different
Yeah,
river.
it's-
This river's got nothing to do with killing your dad. This poor river is just out
No,
here
no, the
trying to
water's
live
evil.
its life, and you're here being like, "Damn you,
Anyway,
river! I'll
there's
beat
this
you."
whole scene of this. Then he just sort of goes through. Nothing happens.
Yeah.
Nothing happens with this like sort of weird watery area where maybe the ice is unstable. So, no,
You say nothing happens, so something
But
does
then-
happen directly after it. That makes no
after.
sense.
So the Russian's dogs just sort of stop listening to him,
Yep.
and he's like, he starts yelling Russian at them. He comes over to them. Then they just attack him because they get fed up with him. Why at this point have the
I don't
dogs
know.
put up with him? I guess it's because he's meant to be a bad guy and he's using the whip, so they don't like him using it. It doesn't make any sense. They just attack him, and to sort of save the Russian, he shoots off the gun to start of the dogs, and the dogs are like, "Oh, racing!" And they race off, but
they
the
race
Russian's left behind.
Yep. So he gets the dog off him, but doesn't drag him to safety. So
Yeah.
I guess he's dead.
So the Russian might be left out in the cold wilderness. We don't know. Who knows? Anyway, Will's now in front.
He's in front. He sees the finish line.
He almost gets to the finish line, but oh no, he tips over. Oh no, he tips over. Oh, and the other guys are getting behind.
I hate
but,
this.
yeah.
I hate this part of the film so much.
But how is the bystanders going to help out Will win this race, even
I'll-
though he's got a huge win?
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you how
How are they going to do this, Sandro?
they whistle
Yep.
because they know that he's got a whistle.
Yep.
They haven't heard it because there's no radio and there's no TV.
It's been news reported. They reported the news, and the news said he's got this whistle.
But they don't know what the whistle is.
Yeah, but do you know who does though? Kingsley.
That's right.
And so Kingsley starts this little whistle, and everybody else starts doing it. And for some goddamn reason, this whistle gives him the energy to push up his sled and but barely just win this race. Now this scene goes on for a little too much.
Way
honestly.
too long. I'm pretty sure he didn't fall off that far away from the
No,
finishing line.
he was literally like 5 feet away from this finish line where he tipped over, and it was kind of annoying.
They make it seem like 30 feet.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was really dumb. Anyway,
So
he finally wins the race.
He does. He barely wins it.
I was wondering if they were going to do this fake out where he actually loses the race, but then the rich dude is like, I'm going to pay you all this stuff anyway.
Yeah.
Because you did really well.
But he doesn't. I don't know if I like that he won. I mean,
Yeah.
he's this American kid racing in a race that America is paid for,
Yeah.
and everyone else has trained hard for it, but not him.
It's the climax of the
But,
race.
you
It's
know,
whatever.
And then the film just ends.
Yeah.
It ends with him
And that's the
crossing
end of the film.
the end of
Yeah.
the line. I think the dogs are the real hero of this
Yeah.
piece. I don't think Will was.
I mean, I'm pretty
particularly-
sure Will was dying at the end. There's scenes where you see him, he's literally suffering.
Yeah.
And at the end of the race, they're like all yelling and hugging him and stuff. And all I could think it was like, guys, stop, get him to a doctor. What is wrong with you people?
It's quite strange.
Yeah.
But that is the film. That is Iron Will. Now the question that everyone is here for. I will ask you first. Was this an oldie or a goodie?
Now, I'm 100% saying this is a better film than the previous film.
Okay.
And I think most people would agree it is a bit better. I rated the other one a goodie.
Well, yes, the bottom end of a goodie.
Yeah,
But
most
you
definitely
did
a
rate
bottom
it
end.
a goodie.
Only because I also wanted to start off the year with a goodie.
Sure.
Why not? Let's start it off. This one, I really liked when he turned into a badass. I
Yeah.
was invested in this film for the rest of the film. The ending, I was kind of meh and kind of I didn't like it. And overall, it's okay.
Okay.
I'll probably rate it an oldie.
You're gonna go oldie?
I'm gonna rate it an oldie, but have it known it's way more of a goodie than the previous film. So I kind of feel bad for giving it an oldie.
Ah, well.
But I'm gonna give it an oldie.
Interesting.
What did you think, Sandra?
I think it's a well-made film. There's no actors I would say are bad in this. There's no
Yeah.
bad performances. It's just some
It's just
weird dialogue. and-
Yeah, it's weird dialogue. It's just sort of an average sort
Yeah.
of Joe
There's
film.
nothing you haven't seen before, which I guess is
Except when Will turns into a badass and just pulls out a gun on a dude out of nowhere, and it's like, whoa. See, that's a bit that it exceeded my expectations, and
Yeah.
it's like, I didn't expect that to happen.
So for that reason, I think it delivers on what you want from it, I guess, which is, you know, a family-friendly racing film. I think I might go for the lower end of a goodie on this one.
Oh, really? Wow, there you go.
Saying that, Kevin Spacey is in it.
Yeah.
So
Which is kind of awkward because let's be real, he's not a bad actor.
Oh no, he's
He's quite a good actor. The problem is, don't do awful things.
So
Anyway.
for that reason, I don't think it is a goodie in the definition of it's a movie that has aged well and you should check out. But I did enjoy
that's
it.
True.
I
That's
did
true.
enjoy it. If we had like a middle point, like it is both an oldie and a goodie, I would probably give it that.
Yeah. That's fair, and I think I would rate it also something similar on that. But I'm leaning more towards the oldie. Sorry, Iron Will, you didn't deserve this treatment.
I guess that's the end of our Iron Will review. Next week, next week is the film that has 10% Rotten Tomatoes,
Oh,
the lowest so far.
what? 10%? Jeez, Louise.
It is a movie. It's called Intersection.
Oh, okay. 10%. That. Oh.
10%. It is, I think it's a drama, I'm not too sure. It's Richard Gere. He has a car accident and he's trying to keep his marriage on track.
Great.
It's
oh boy.
the only
I'm
film.
excited for
It's
this
the only
film.
movie that came out. So
Oh, boy.
we don't really have a choice.
10%. Yikes. That is. Whew. I'm excited.
We're doing that next episode. If you want to join us,
Yeah.
definitely track down the film. It might be easier to find. I don't know. I haven't tried yet.
I won't blame you if you don't.
Might not be the lowest thing that we're reviewing.
Oh, what?
though. I don't know.
Oh no. This is.
It
oh boy.
might not be. I'm not sure. We'll have to wait and see. But 10% is pretty low, but it might not be the lowest that we ever review. But yeah, we're checking that out next episode. You can check it out as well if you so please. If you enjoy the podcast, tell a friend.
Yeah.
That always helps out.
Help spread the word of our stupidity. Just go, hey, do you want to hear some idiots talk about some silly old films? Oh, yeah, that sounds kind of interesting. Well, where do we find that? Well, check us out on the old iTunes, the old SoundCloud.
We're not on SoundCloud.
The old
We're on everything but
Spotify.
SoundCloud.
Oh, really?
actually.
The second one I name is the one thing we're not on. Great.
we're
so
on-
Spotify.
We're on Spotify. We're on Google Podcasts.
Oh, nice.
You mentioned iTunes. We're also on TuneIn, the TuneIn app,
Nice. Yeah.
Stitcher, a bunch of others. I think we're on Last.fm as well. I'm not too sure about that.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone even uses that website anymore. So.
Oh, wow. Roasted.
We're on MySpace now.
Yeah, double roasted.
And
Anyway.
also, on top of telling a friend, if you do enjoy the podcast, we are still in our early days, and giving us a review on iTunes really, really helps out.
Tell us what we're doing right. Tell us of the many, 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 many
Still going.
things that we're doing wrong. You can just tell us so we're like, yes, one of the many, many, etc.
Yep.
things that we're doing wrong. We should probably change that. Give us a good old review.
You can do that there. That just helps kind of get the word out. We'll
Yeah,
let
that'd be
people know
cool.
what we're doing. We're both on Instagram.
Yeah.
Links to that are in the description. You're posting regularly.
Yes, because you made me get my Instagram back up, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna damn use it. If you want to see pictures of food and selfies, oh boy, that is my Instagram.
That
It
is
is fantastic.
Entirety of your Instagram, so you can check that out if you want.
Yeah.
We're on Facebook, which is facebook.com/oldie-but-a-goodie-pod.
Yeah.
But
And
that is...
How about, Sandro, we leave with some of our favorite quotes. I'll give my favorite quote, you give
Yes.
your favorite quote.
Because last episode we had no idea how to end a film,
Yeah.
how to end the episode.
And I think this is a good way of ending the episode with a quote.
With our favourite quote from the film that we just watched.
Yeah, so go
Alright. Mine, hands down, is, when you get frostbite, call me. I'll cut off whatever you want.
And my favorite is, it's Canada time, baby.
Oh no. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.